So now we can consider a couple of examples to see the application of the equations that we have derived. And just to remind ourselves, I have written down the equations here. So the total angular momentum of an object about an origin O, or about any origin, let's say, is equal to its angular momentum about center of mass, and then the center of mass of the angular momentum of the center of mass about that origin. Similarly for torque, and of course this tau z equal to rate of change of angular momentum. That equation remains valid for all the cases. Okay, so now let's take an example, and the example is of a solid disk rolling down an inclined plane, so as the figure shows, without slipping, right? Okay, so basically I have an inclined surface at some angle theta. Theta is immaterial here at the moment. At some angle theta, there is a disk which is rolling down this. It could be a cylinder, could be a drum, could be a tire, right? Which is rolling down because of the force mg, and there is friction between the drum and the surface. So there is a frictional force, and of course the frictional force is opposing the motion such that this thing starts to roll. It's rolling with the angular acceleration alpha and with linear acceleration a, right? Because there is a force acting on it, and the task is to solve for this acceleration a. Okay. So what we can do is, so before starting the problem, what we can do is we can since the acceleration is along the plane, along the inclined plane, what we can do is we can make a suitable choice of origin, right, such that the problem seems more simpler. So if I select my xy axis like this, so x axis along the incline and y axis perpendicular to that, then my problem becomes or looks much more simpler, and effectively it looks exactly the same as the problem we discussed in, or the example we discussed in the previous lecture, with the difference that now there are additional external forces acting on the system. So along x, along y, this is my disk, right? And at the center of mass, there is force acting mg sin theta in the forward direction. Between the surface and the drum, there is a frictional force acting F. R is the radius of the disk, right? And now it's going along in clockwise direction. So that way we set our convention for the angular motion, right? And it's also going in this direction with some angular acceleration, with some linear acceleration a, right? So we have to solve for this problem. Now, first thing that we can readily write down is Lz for this particular system, and now the Lz is exactly same as what we discussed again in the last lecture for a similar problem. So Lz we know is going to be minus 3/2 m r square omega, right? Where m is the mass of this object. Okay, so m r square omega. This is one. What about the torque? Tau z. Tau z is given by this. So torque about the center of mass. So for the torque about center of mass, only frictional force is acting because mg is in line with the center of mass. So there is no perpendicular distance between center of mass and mg sin theta. So this will not give any torque. So only this one. And of course the direction will be governed by the sense, since the motion is still clockwise. And anyway, I mean that can also be seen because F is now away from the direction of motion. The torque is then Fr, right? This is the first term. This is the first term here, and R cross F. So plus, and now from this origin, so this becomes my origin. Let's call this as R. So R cross F Z component. Right? And what is R here? Now R I can break down into different forms. So let's say this distance is x at any given distance. The perpendicular distance or the y coordinate is not going to change, and there is no, and the third coordinate is immaterial. So again we can take it as 0. Right? That's our choice of coordinate system. Similarly, the force. Now the forces are again in the x direction. I have mg sin theta, and I have the frictional force acting in the opposite direction. Along the y direction, we don't have any net force because in this way, if we see it, then downwards will be mg cos theta, upwards will be the normal reaction, and that will balance out. There is no motion along the y direction. And similarly for z. So here, this will be mg sin theta minus f 0 and 0. Okay. So then these are my forces and this thing. So what we'll get from here is minus fr minus mg sin theta. We can take its what you call the z component of r cross f into r plus f of r. And if this is the case, then basically my tau z is minus mg sin theta r. This is, so we have the Lz, we have the tau z, right? And now we have the relation between Lz and tau z. So tau z is dLz over dt. So I can use this. So this implies minus mg sin theta r is equal to minus 3 half m r square and d omega by dt, which is then nothing but your angular acceleration alpha. So in this equation we can find out what is alpha, and this implies that alpha, which is nothing but d omega over dt, is then equal to g sin theta over r and 2 by 3. So 2 by 3 g sin theta over r. So this is the angular acceleration, and now to find the linear acceleration, we have to look at this condition without slipping. So rolling without slipping, and rolling without slipping basically means that the linear acceleration is simply angular acceleration into the perpendicular distance or the radius r, same as our tangential velocity v is equal to omega r. So if that is the case, so this is rolling without slipping. Okay. And if that is the case, then now since I know alpha, I can find my acceleration, which will be 2 by 3 g sin theta. So this way we can apply these equations and solve for different physical quantities for a given object under given conditions. Okay. So this is one. Now let's move on to another example. And the next example that I am going to consider is interesting because first of all it also uses the energy conservation that we have mentioned, that I mentioned in the last lecture, as well as the result is rather interesting. Okay. So let's take another example. And what the example says is, so let's set the problem. Example, the problem is that let us say this is x, this is y, this is origin O. So let's say this is the wall, this is the floor. So I have a rod or a plank, right, inclined between this wall and floor. And so one end of the rod touches at the wall, another end touches at the floor. Both are frictionless, right? So a rod touching wall and floor, right? Both wall and floor are frictionless. Okay. Now this rod slips on the wall, or down the wall rather, slips down the wall. So the rod is slipping and this end will go towards X direction, this end will come down. So we have to look for, analyze the motion of this one, right? And in terms of what? So let us say this is the center of mass of the rod. So what we can do is we can take length of the rod equal to twice of L, right? So that the center of mass is at L distance from either of the ends. So let's say this is my center of mass, and then this distance is L as well as this distance is L at any given point. Let's say at a chosen instant or at any particular instant, the angle that the rod makes with the horizontal is theta, right? And now it's slipping, right? Then this is the angle theta. So we have to analyze the motion, and particularly what we are interested in is finding out the motion of the center of mass. So let us say at t equal to 0, the center of mass is at height y0 from here. So we have to find at some other t, which is a slip, how this height changes, and more particularly, what will happen is as the rod slips along the horizontal and the vertical direction, after falling for certain height, the rod is going to lose contact with this wall, right? So it's a physical problem which has been, which we need to analyze, and we are interested in finding that starting from a given location, so for example, with a starting theta, how far, so that the center of mass is located y0, how far the rod or the center of mass in particular has to fall down such that it loses contact with this wall. Okay. Okay. So anyway, this problem will be more clear as we move forward. So first of all, let us write down coordinates for center of mass. Okay. So let me write it down as R. And then what are the coordinates for center of mass? So let us say at some instant, let us say this is y and this is x, right? Then the center of mass coordinates are x, y, which are then also equal to what is the angle theta at that point? L cos theta and L sin theta. This can be readily seen by looking at the geometry of the system, right? So coordinates of center of mass are Cm, are then L cos theta, L sin theta, and this also gives us a condition that x square plus y square is equal to L square, right? So that's a constraint condition which tells us that when this rod slips about the wall and across the floor, the center of mass is going to follow this trajectory, which is trajectory of a circle, right? Okay. So anyway, this is these are my center of mass coordinates, right? And now from here, what I can do is I can kind of find. So what we are interested in is looking for the two motions. One is downwards, so y double dot, and another is across the floor, so x double dot, right? And now to find these, now these are happening under some forces. So now let's write down the forces on the system. So since the wall and the floor both are frictionless, right? The forces on the system are basically the normal reaction, right? Which is making because the rod, one end of the rod is making contact with the floor. Another force is the normal reaction from the wall. So I'll write it Mw just to differentiate it from this normal reaction. So the reaction of the wall, and finally the Mg or the gravitational force which is acting as if acting on the center of mass at the location of the center of mass. So then these are the forces, right? And now what we'll see is under the influence of this Fw and N and Mg, it can make motion along the x and along the y direction, right? So let us then look at the motion along the x direction. So which will be then Fw is equal to mx double dot, right? In the horizontal direction, that's the only force acting on the system is mx double dot. And now the condition that, so we have to analyze this when the rod, this end of the rod loses contact with the wall. So the rod loses contact with the wall, contact with the wall if, or it will lose contact when Fw equal to 0. So basically the rod is not pushing the wall and the wall will not then in that sense push this. So our condition becomes x double dot is equal to 0, right? There is no force in the x direction, there is no acceleration in the x direction. So x double dot is equal to 0. And now since we know x is L cos theta, we can write this down. So let us do that. Okay, let me do it here. So x is L cos theta. So you can write down x dot, that is minus L sin theta, theta dot, and similarly x double dot is minus L cos theta, theta dot square minus L sin theta, theta double dot, and this is equal to 0, right? From this condition, if this is equal to 0, we can find an expression for theta double dot. So theta double dot in that case, or theta dot square, let's say, in that case becomes theta dot square is equal to minus tan theta, theta double. So let's write this down as question number 1. So we have found a relation between theta dot and theta double dot, right? And now to find, so what we'll do is we'll find this, and now we have to find this theta double dot and theta dot in terms of this x and y coordinate, so that we can get a relation for how much this will fall before it loses contact, right? So let's find out what is this, what is the relation between these coordinates. And now for that, what we'll do is we'll use energy conservation, because there's no friction, so it's all happening under conservative forces, right? So we can now apply energy conservation. So let us say, to begin with, the rod was placed at some angle and slanting on the wall, and at that instant, at starting point, the center of mass coordinate is at a height y0, right? So then we can write down the energy of the system. So just before the rod starts to slip, total energy of the system is just the potential energy of this system, which is then equal to mg of y0, right? As if all the mass is located at center of mass, and center of mass is located at height y0 from the ground, right? So energy of the system is mgy. Once the rod starts to slip, right, it's going to slip down and slip forwards, right? And we can so we can see that this motion will have both translation as well as rotation part. So now we can write down the final energy in terms of our energy conservation, and that would be half mv square, where v is then the motion of this center of mass, plus half I omega square, which is then the rotation about the center of mass, right? Plus, now it's not the center of mass is going to fall to the ground, right? It loses contact somewhere in between. So whatever height is that, so potential energy contained there, and then let's say mgy. So let's say at a height y, it loses contact with the wall. So then this is my final energy, and I know that EI is equal to EF. So now I can start solving for it. So mgy0 is half mv square, half m, where v will be L theta dot, right, for the center of mass, plus half I0 omega square, right? Omega is simply theta dot. And what is I0? I0 is the moment of inertia of a rod about center of mass, which we know is 1 by 12 ml square for a rod of length L. Now here the rod of the length is 2L, so then this simply becomes 1 by 3 ml square, and then omega square, so theta dot square, plus mg y. So let's write it down as and now what we can do is we can also write this y as L sin theta, right? And now we can solve for y0. So what we'll get is, I'll write down the expression, you can see the algebra, is y0 is L sin theta plus 2 by 3 L square by g theta dot square. So this is the value of y0 that we have got, right? And now what we do is, now since this y0 is constant, right? This is the initial condition. It's given that this is the y0. So now what we can do is, let me not rub that. Write it out here. So we are from here we are going up to here. Now since this is constant, I can take dy0 by dt, which is then equal to 0 because it's a constant, and then I can see here. So this will be L cos theta theta dot and plus 2 by 3 L square by g, and then theta dot square is theta dot theta double, right? So we can write down an equation like this and solve for theta double dot. Theta double dot is then equal to, so let me just write it down, minus 3 by 4 g cos theta by L. Okay. So this is my theta double dot. I also have an expression for theta double dot here, or we can just simply put the expression for theta double dot there. So then, so this was 2. Putting in 1 now, right? What I get is theta dot square over 10 theta. I'm sorry, I have over 10 theta, which is here, and minus sign is equal to minus 3 by 4 g cos theta over L. Okay. So we can take the 10 theta there, so it will cancel out. What we'll get is theta dot square is equal to 3 by 4 g sin theta by L. So let's say this is my experiment number 3. And now once we have found this theta dot square, right, here, we can put this back here and we can find the relation between y, because this is nothing but, this is still nothing but y. We can use this and solve for this. So let's do that. And, so putting back in 2, I have y0 is equal to y plus 2 by 3 L square by g into theta dot square, which is 3 by 4 g sin theta over L. So some terms will cancel out. This will be y plus L sin theta half. Right? And again, this is nothing but y. So this is basically 3 half of y. So y0 is 3 half y, or y is 2 by 3 by 0. So this is a very important result, right, where we have used all the angular momentum as well as the energy conservation. And what we have seen is, and you can see that in the result is independent of theta, right, because we never used what is the value of theta. So in such a situation, if the wall and the floor are frictionless, what one sees is independent of what is the starting point, right, at what angle the rod is slanted with respect to the wall and the floor. Once it starts to slip, right, it will go exactly 2/3 of the initial position. So if it starts from here, it will exactly move up to the 2/3 of this initial position and then lose contact with the wall, right? And that's a very, very important result, or very interesting result rather, in this case. So which we can again analyze using the equations that we derive for rotational motion.